Hey everyone, today's lesson is on line 43 in our book, Long, Long Ago. Now, Long, Long Ago has an awful lot of eighth notes that are in pairs where we have to change pitch. So to remind you, let me go back to line 42 for a second. In line 42, we had many eighth notes, but they almost all came in pairs that were the same pitch. A pair of E's, a pair of C's, a pair of D's, a pair of B's. They were almost always the same pitch as each other. So all we had to do was hold down the finger for that note, and use two quick puffs of air, ti-ti, to play those. Ta, ti-ti, ta, ti-ti, and our fingers didn't have to do anything differently. But when we got to this chunk here, ta, ti-ti, ta, our fingers had to move. Ta, ti-ti, ta, our fingers had to move during the eighth notes. Now, if we look again at line 43, we can see that every single pair of eighth notes, the eighth notes change pitches. Sometimes kids look at this and freak out because they're thinking, oh my goodness, I have to play all these fast notes. And I want to remind you that the notes aren't fast notes, they're short notes. So let's slow the tempo down at one where we can manage it. What I'm actually going to do today during this lesson is going to feel like I'm slowing down the tempo. I'm actually going to be multiplying all the notes by 2 or sometimes by 4 to make the notes longer so we have more time to think about where our fingers should go. So let's do just that. So here in Long, Long Ago, in my mind, I can break it up into several chunks that overlap each other. I'm going to start with this chunk right here. And to begin with, I'm going to pretend that all of these notes are whole notes. So I'm not multiplying them all by the same thing right now, but I'm pretending that they're all whole notes, make them last a long time. And I'm going to play that entire chunk of music, holding all the notes out for 4 beats. Here I go. Now, playing that is a lot like playing the lines that we did at the beginning of the book, where literally everything we played was nothing but whole notes. Let's take a step back and let's instead pretend that the quarter notes are half notes and the eighth notes are quarter notes. So what I've done is I've multiplied every note by 2. Let me do the same thing, and this time I've multiplied every note by 2. We call this augmentation. And I can do the same thing with the next chunk. Like I said, in my mind, the chunks overlap, and the next chunk I would do here. Here I go again. And the next chunk overlaps that one and goes to here. And again, I'm multiplying all the notes by 2. And the next chunk. And finally, the last chunk. So let me sing these chunks to you, and then I want you to play them back to me. Here I go. Repeat after me. You'll need your scale sheet. Do, do, re, mi. Mi, mi, fa, sol. Sol, la, sol, mi. Sol, fa, mi, re. Fa, mi, re, do. And I could also try the same chunks, but instead of augmenting the notes, changing to half and quarter notes, I could play them with the rhythm as written. Let's do those same chunks again with the rhythms as written. Do, do, re, mi. Mi, mi, fa, sol. Sol, la, so, mi. Sol, fa, mi, re. Fa, mi, re, do. Now, it's going to take you some time to practice to get from playing them in the augmented version to the regular version, and you might need to play it at an in-between tempo from the one that I'm practicing. But in your practice, you don't need to just play the song over and over and over again. Isolate those chunks. The eighth notes may be the things that are hardest for your fingers, so isolate those chunks so they become easier. Right? I'm going to play the whole song all the way through. I want to point out to you that the song is marked to be played piano, softly. That's what this P means at the beginning, so I'll be playing softly, although sometimes it's hard to tell when there's nothing to contrast with the piano. Here I am, line 43 from the beginning. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now it may take some practice before you get to the point where you can play it at the tempo that I just did. When you work with practice first, of course, you can change the tempo to whatever you'd like, and when you're practicing independently, the tempo is entirely up to you. Good luck practicing. Thanks for stopping by.